This is the funeral of the most wanted suspect of a double homicide in China, Mr. Jinzhong Ou. This name has gone viral in China since October 10, 2021. According to the police notice, he also hurt 3 others in the same family, including a child, who lived just next door. But so many came to mourn him in his village. As a matter of fact, around the corner it was a wide street full of people, who came to pay respect to him. I am the boy Mr. O saved 30 years ago. This incident is disheartening and I am very sad because he was an honest man with strong senses of justice. I come forth to clarify something. When I was 5, very naughty, hanging out with 2 boys of neighbors, we were playing with water in holes in the beach that was carried there by typhoon. But when a wave struck, I was carried away and knocked out. After I gained consciousness, my parents and villagers told me that the wave was so huge that all the boats were ashore. Even if there had been boats nearby, they couldn't have helped in such huge waves. When Mr. O saw me, he plunged into the wave without hesitation. According to the accounts of villagers, this boy's parents brought gifts and money to repay Mr. O. He refused. He was a good man. His name and deeds have got viral in China and most internet users there agree. He is dead now. Murder or suicide? At least many people can fall asleep now. According to this police announcement, Mr. O committed a double homicide on the 10th of October 2021 and resisted arrest and committed suicide, guilty, on the 18th of October 2021. Many people don't buy it. More interestingly, there are 2 reports from a Pengpai News, a nationwide news agency of China, 2 contradictory to each other. One at 1757, the 18th of October, says that Mr. O was arrested on 18th, while the other, published at 1843 the same day, says that he has resisted arrest and died by committing suicide. Which version is true? Remember the wanted notice in my last video? The one that promised 50,000 RMB for a body while only 20,000 for important leads. This in essence encouraged killing him. These posts in Weibo are quite reasonable. No suicide and many will lose their job in the government. His suicide is indeed nice timing right after he was found by the police after 8 days hideout without food. He must die. Many people had predicted his death. Nowadays, the communists don't want to pretend too much. Previously, they pretended that this country still has the rule of law, so a suspect may be given a trial, at least seemingly fair in the format. And on some occasions where the public opinion was strong, the verdict could be swayed. In the case of Mr. O, the Chinese internet users see themselves in him and definitely want some kind of pardon or mitigation of penalty. But his presence poses humiliation to the justice system of the communist regime. While on the other hand, the fact that public opinion can change the verdict of the court or the policy of the government challenges the authority of the regime. The mother of Mr. O waited for the news of her son's death in a simple tin room surrounded by countless police cars. You could see her trembling mouths, wordless. What sorrows! What a fatal blow! The old lady closed her eyes and went to heaven to accompany her kind, hard-working and honest son. She walked with her eyes closed and his face was still peaceful. The son is gone. And the mother is gone. This adds to the sadness of this tragedy, while in the meantime could be a mercy as she would suffer no more. This is just my thought. Right after the homicide case of the 10th of October 2021, the provincial government of Fujian, where it took place, issued a regulation about the safety of housing construction in rural areas. In the light to avoid massive casualty. Interesting. Is it due to the occurrence of Mr. Ou's misfortune? If so, then violence is probably the only language they could understand. In a Weibo post, the author claims that the paperwork for renovation is delivered to door within 24 hours while the roadblocks are cleared within 48 hours, and in addition, 27 fellow villagers claim they would come and help the next day. She asks, to whom I should feel grateful. Along with the post there is a subtitle, according to incomplete statistics. In the recent week, 50,000 unresolved neighborhood disputes were reconciled with the more powerful party actively bowing its head and admitting its mistakes. This post can't be verified. If this is the case, then Mr. Ou's death doesn't come in vain. Unfortunately, it has to end with 4 deaths. Is violence the only language the dictator understands? We do not encourage violence, but there is something far worse than violence, the absence of law and order. Before they came, the Chinese society was rather safe, with low crime rate. When disputes took place in villages, people went to someone respectable, normally a patriarch or a landlord. After they came, the class of landlords were exterminated, and what's worse, a national media in China, Wang Yi, asks, will you donate for the victims of this homicide as the medical expenses are staggering? This is a question everyone wants to avoid now. Here it also brings about another issue, the welfare system in China. The rural residents technically has no medical securities despite world's highest tax rates. We will address this issue in future.